So there I was, playing Enshrouded, this amazing game, and then trying to figure out, you know what? Where was I going to build my base? Because I was going to need a base. I mean, I already had a base, but in this game, it's really cool. You can actually go around and put down your beacon anywhere you want, claim the area, and then build there. So I took some time to go around and then find a few places. A few of these places, well, there were two exploding. Another place, it was just too small and too bitey. And a few of the other places, they were just too aggressive. And then that is when I stumbled into this place, which had the most amazing things inside of it. Rocks that illuminated everything like the night sky. I harvested up a whole bunch of these and decided, you know what? If we can't find the perfect place, let's make a perfect place. And use the rocks at the same time. Yeah. So, I rushed back to base, took a nap, had the creepy guy staring at me while I slept. Eventually got up in the morning and got set about to work. Set about clearing the area. I wanted to put in some steps going down and kind of at a gradual slope. That was my mindset from the beginning, because if we were going to do this, then it was going to have to be a flat plane of grass across the top of it, and then down below we were going to have the door. The door eventually comes in later. It takes a long time to get to the door. But other than that, I mean, I was having a lot of fun. I mean, put on some music and just go to town. Yeah. I started off by putting in what I thought was going to be the beginning hallway, because I envisioned this thing to be a lot bigger than it had originally been. But instead, this hallway ended up getting widened out at the very beginning, and then I just turned it into the main chamber of everything. It took a while, and I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do the walls, because in a traditional Hobbit home, they end up having wood walls, and they're nice wood walls, but in this, they don't have the kind of textures that you're looking for. If you want wood, you have a pile of sticks. So, a pile of sticks it is for our walls, but we don't get there yet, but yeah, pay attention for the pile of sticks. You'll know it when you see it. I did experiment with putting down some big stone foundation type blocks, but then realized that if I wanted to do this, I would have to sink them down further, and then I ended up with going with more of like the flat ceiling kind of look, and then that's what I used for the flooring throughout this. Clearing out a bunch of the rocks, that's what actually took the longest amount of time. I did stop for a little while and take a look at kind of, you know, the different sides of how I wanted things to look, how big I wanted it to be, because the bases in this, they don't need to be massive. But I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of room to take care of just about everything I needed. Plus, also, I did have the structure up top, so I had the flame up there, so none of this was going to respawn. So, yeah, as long as I had enough for a storage bed, the smithy or the workbench, and also so I could have some fires down here so I could cook and also keep myself warm so we could get the rest of the buff. That's really all I needed, at least for now. It may eventually change, but then again, with this kind of build, you could just dig another hole and keep adding on to the base. So, yeah. And then I kept just digging through, and I had to make sure that it was a level plane almost the entire time. And I used the floor to kind of guide me, because the floor is always going to be at the same level of elevation. And if I just kept everything pretty much in line with the floor all the way through, then I wouldn't have to worry about poking through the ceiling. In theory. There was a few places where I may have done it, but then again, also a little bit of light as we went down through. It was kind of welcome at this point. I was pretty deep under the ground, and yeah, at some points in time, you just want to have a little bit of illumination just so you can see what you're doing. And I had originally had this grand idea of actually being able to trim out the stairs, like a natural walkway, so there was just a slope going through. That fell apart almost immediately. And then after that, I decided, you know what? We have stairs. I have stone. May as well, you know, get the two together, have them, you know, get to be good friends. And then I just laid out a bunch of stairs there. So where instead of the natural slope, now it's stairs, which I think actually turned out to be pretty dang good looking. I enjoyed the way it looked. And then I ended up using my one and only medium-sized block of the illuminated bricks. And it ended up turning out to be pretty nice. I put it right in between the two rooms that I had created here, and it provided enough illumination to continue working without even having to go out and get the resin for the torches. It worked out pretty dang well. And then it was back to clearing out a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff. I spent quite a bit of time down here, and matter of fact, I think this entire build took me, I think, 9, maybe 10 in-game days. But the biggest part wasn't the amount of time it took. It was having to run back and forth to the workbench in order to repair the pickaxe every time it broke, because this sucker just could not hold its durability. These pickaxes suck. I'm just saying. The beginning ones, not good. Yeah. On day 7, I woke up once again with the creepy guy staring at me again. He does that a lot. It gets a little uncomfortable most of the time. But then I came back out, and then at this time, I actually had the 2 chambers pretty much the size I wanted them. I didn't want them too big, but I did want them big enough so there was one chamber, and then you go through a hallway, and then there's another chamber. And right now, you're seeing just the bare walls of the cave, and even though I think it does look pretty good, they don't last forever. I ended up going through, smoothing out a bunch of the ceiling, and then putting down textured walls on the side, so where it actually creates building inside of the ground. And I think it turned out pretty good. And then it was time to go out and start cutting down the trees. Now, I didn't need a ton of trees, but I did clear cut a whole bunch of the top just because, yeah, we're gonna need some. Plus, also, we're gonna need new storage, everything for down below. Yeah, we don't need a ton of it to begin with because we do have the old stuff up top. But I wanted to make sure when we were moving into the Hobbit hole that we ended up having exactly how much we needed. So, yeah, this tiny little bit of forest here, yeah, it doesn't last too long. And then it was time to add the texture to the walls. Just get rid of the cave walls themselves. Put up some wood down below. Granted, it's not some sort of like smooth wood that I could put down. It's just sticks. This is a pile of sticks, and that's the only thing I could go with. I ended up going with this instead of the stone walls because, I mean, granted, I think the stone walls could have been good, or I could have actually went out and got even more illuminated stuff. But then again, with the amount of time I was probably going to be spending down here, if I had illuminated walls, they would just drive me bonkers after a while. I'm pretty sure of that. I mean, granted, I didn't have enough to actually do that, and I was tempted to go out and just farm a ton of the illuminated stuff. But I decided, you know, the wood did look okay. I would like to have some sort of smoother drywall kind of thing or a little bit more plywood type feel, but you take what you got, and this is what we got. So, pile of sticks it was. And then, of course, I had to do a little bit more smoothing just because, yeah, you never know exactly how much you have to smooth the walls until you start putting something up. and then realized that a lot of the cave wall is poking through. So we had to smooth out some of those. All right, now in my smoothing, I ended up creating a few little bits of light that were shining down through. I wasn't sure if it was just some sort of visual glitch with the light just coming through the ceiling anyway, or through the ground anyway. So I went upstairs or up top, and I made sure that, you have to pressure test this. So what better way of pressure testing this than jumping up and down on top of it? And if you fall through, then you fall through. If not, it's good to go. If it rains, well, we're kind of screwed, but as long as it doesn't rain, we're good. And then I had finally gotten to a spot where I was able to finally put the workbench down here. So no more running over to the other section so I could repair, but then again, at this point in time, I really didn't need to repair anymore. And then I had to go and put the door in. And now the door, I would have really appreciated to be able to put in a round door, but unfortunately, I haven't seen a round door in the game. So I went with this one right here. It's a square door, and then I encased it so where it looks like the entire thing is built into the ground. But also with the stairs coming down into it, then the indent down into the door. With the door, how I had the ceiling little bits down below, so where it looks like they were meant for to house the door when it opened. I do think it turned out to be pretty dang cool looking. And then as long as I could get it so where no light was coming through from the outside, then the door ended up looking pretty good. At least I thought so. Yeah, let me know down below how you think the door is. Granted, like I said, I would prefer to have a round door, but yeah, the theme of the video, use what you got. And with the door in place, then I finally decided, after all this time, maybe I should actually go and put in the torches. Now, the torches, they added a ton of character to this because there is no outside illumination at all. This is perpetually dark, but the torches, plus also the blue illuminated block, they made it look really cool, and they added a nice bit of warmth to the inside of the base. And honestly, I could see myself playing down here quite a bit, or at least coming in, crafting all the stuff I needed to, and then, going out and adventuring and doing whatever, all the other stuff that we do, I don't know, would we talk to the bad guys in this game? That's how you play it, right? Then I was finally able to take a nap inside of my bed without the weird guy looking at me. It was, it felt freeing, even in my little bit of isolation in my comfortable little hobbit hole. Alright, so that right there, that's how I spent 10 in-game days making a little hobbit hole underneath the ground that I honestly, it's not as big as I would have liked it to have been. And I probably could have just went out, taken over a cave, and then built walls on the inside of that, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't do that from the beginning, but it is what it is. So hey, if you liked the video, and I hope you guys liked it, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps me out. Yeah, if you're new around here, subscribe, and until next time, this is Phlinger, and take it easy, everybody.